What's up, everybody? This is another edition of the KCSN Defensive Film Room. My name is Craig Stout, and I am joined by Chiefs legend linebacker Derrick Johnson. DJ, normally we have Mike with us. Mike couldn't join us today. We'll have him back next week, but this actually worked out in a good way because most of the positive clips that I have today are great linebacker play. So I was going to, we were going to be leaning on you for a lot of this. I want to start with this before we start into the film. You got to play for a long time. You got to play in a couple different practice eras where you got a whole bunch of reps, maybe early on in your career, or more reps than you did towards the end of your career when new CBAs came into place, practice rules changed, things like that. When you were kind of getting towards the end of your career and you were having to rely on depth, as the Chiefs had to this past weekend, as it looks like they may have to this next weekend, as the primary signal caller, Mike linebacker, the defense, do you feel extra pressure in weeks like this to basically be top notch and want to be even better to make sure that everybody stays on the same page, is communicating together, is working together, since you are the linchpin of the defense?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Having the mic, being in that position, the middle linebacker, the quarterback of the defense, and actually having the microphone in your helmet, listening to the coach call the plays. There's a lot of responsibility that you have to, a lot of accountability that you have on the field. It's a little harder than you think, actually, because early on in my career, I did not have the mic. I was out there, and actually I played Mike at some time, played Sam, I played all the positions, but I didn't really have that mic. And it's another level of responsibility when coach is saying, hey, look for this. Hey, we're about to call this. You need to make sure you make the check. Make sure defensive linemen are right. I mean, it's a lot of stuff going through your head. So I'm in there. I'm like, hey, watch the ball, guys. It's fourth and short or third and short. Don't jump off sides. Earmuff to the defensive lineman. I'm telling if we're at midfield, I'm telling the cornerbacks, hey guys, it's a shot play. Get back. Don't do anything crazy in the middle of the field, because we got shot alert, meaning deep passes come during this time of game or this position of the field. But I tell you what, man, to actually have guys out during the year, it's tough, but it's common. It's a long season. They say this all the time. Now it's even 17 games instead of 16 games. So when you talk about having depth, those are the teams that really win and can get to the postseason and go further when they can have depth, meaning they have enough guys, high character guys, pro guys that are second string, third string players that step in and don't lose a beat. And it's a lot of motivation with these guys. I've seen guys, second string guys, step in and they're not scared. They're literally like, hey, this is my chance to show them I can contribute. I can make an impact. Like that's how you want it to be. So honestly, when a guy that hadn't played that much, and he steps right beside me, it's confidence right now. Hey, let's go, man. I don't think twice and say, oh man, this guy, he hadn't played much. He's not like this. No, let's go. This is what I expect from you. Go in there and hit it. And I go off you. You see how I said I'll let him go in there and hit it. Let me come up right off of him.
Yeah. And that goes even further when offenses try and go tempo. I think we see a lot of that happen in the NFL when you get into backups. You see these offenses try and go quick, stress the communication. So, yeah, makes sense. You got to be top notch in those scenarios, I'm sure, making sure all that happens. So,
absolutely.
All right. Let's dive into the film. It's been almost a week now since the Chiefs beat the Chargers, ran the table against the division here in these past 3 games. Exactly what they needed to do. Sitting in the 1 seed, Chiefs were without Willie Gay Jr., without L'Jarius Sneed, and without Chris Jones. 3 major impact players on this defense, and still came up huge in some moments. We're going to go through some stuff. Going to highlight some good linebacker play here, and maybe some of the end zone stuff that kept the Chargers from putting points on the board. So let's start with this play right here. And what we're going to see, you're actually going to see, let me restart that again since it was being a little bit stuttery coming off there. You're actually going to see a wide receiver coming in, bunch of the formation here. He's going to line up inside of the tight end and release up to the linebacker here, which is going to now incorporate the cornerback. He's going to reinsert into this gap here. And I just kind of wanted to highlight this because we see a lot of condensed formations late in the year, teams that want to run the ball. When a Steve Spagnuolo hallmark is having secondary players that want to step in and tackle and fill in the run fit. This is a great job by Charvarius Ward stepping in here. I mean, they're trying to get the running back on the cornerback, and he does an awesome job filling the gap, making the tackle here.
He really does. I'm always impressed with cornerbacks stepping up and playing in the box. And this is they do this on purpose. Offenses say, "Hey, let's go crack the linebacker. Let's go get the safety. Let's get in here and leave that cornerback out there. We know he's thinking pass first, so he's going to be light out there. You're going to have some room to make a move on this guy." But this Ward 35, I tell you what, he does a great job. Young player, sticks his nose in there. I mean, this is a linebacker type of play, and we call this crack replace. We always tell them, hey, if your guy is blocking, that means you're free. You need to replace right now, because if he stays back, that hole is huge, and now the tackle is much harder to make.
Yep. Yeah, and a great job by Derrick Johnson getting across the face of the center here and working back underneath to kind of close back and make sure nothing happens there.
Yeah, that's being a playmaker, especially on a defensive line. And it's, the one thing I love about football, it's not perfect. It's messy. You get in there and you can't draw this up. If you line the guys up and you say, hey, this guy's going to double team on you right here. But in the meeting room, you don't say, hey, come off of this block and go to this. Like, no. You know where to line up, and then after that, go make plays.
Yep. It's an instinctual thing. Mike talks about that all the time. Yeah, just kind of instinctual stuff up top. So that's a great play that happened. This is early on in the game. What we're going to see here, and something that I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about this last week, DJ, you're going to see 22 personnel here. So you're going to see two guys in the backfield, and then you're going to see a YY, two attached tight ends, and it creates these extra gaps here. And so as a linebacker, trying to read these extra gaps can be difficult because you got these guys on the move. You never know where the play is going. It just kind of adds a little more variance to this. But I want to highlight Bennieman as a Sam linebacker. He's walked down on the line of scrimmage opposite the outside tight end here. And the way that he plays this, setting up that linebacker, driving him back inside, allows Anthony Hitchens and Nick Bolton scraping on either side of him to fill that gap and basically step up into that hole, absorbing, the moving player here. The fullback's going to try and kick out here, but a great job by the three linebackers working in tandem, because this could be a big play if those three guys don't work in tandem the way that they do on this play.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this formation from the defensive set, because all the defensive line, all four of them, have the A gaps and the B gaps covered. For me, that's gold to me, because I'm like, oh, I'm a roamer. I can go now. And for this to happen like this, I mean, Nick is just, man, he's first of all, his play has been unbelievable for a young guy. I'm telling you, man, it is hard to play linebacker at a high level, and he's in the middle of the defense. I mean, he's out there every play. For him to shoot the gap like this is awesome. But I tell you what, Ben did a great job by it's almost like a defensive line move. You got to be in there and you got to fight that from getting crushed all the way down, because if he crushes him all the way down, he can hit Nick. And then it's a whole nother story. So he has to hold his weight in that gap and kind of hold his position in that. It's the D gap right there. He's got to stay in there, and he did a great job. And that's a tight end. So you wanna win against tight ends. Linebackers, we always say because tight end half the time they go out for passes, so they're not a true lineman.
Right. And that's Jared Cook. I mean, that's a good blocking tight end too.
It is. And he's a nice size guy too. So my hat's off to Ben doing a great job, and the other two linebackers being in sync, being on a string, having good eyes, and coming downhill, and both of them just unblocked.
Yeah. Bennieman, we noticed that in the preseason. He's stacking and shedding blocks a little bit better. It's really showing up this year. He's done that quite a few times, so that's been good to see. All right, moving on here. This is one of the scenarios where the Chiefs didn't maybe have the best gap integrity and what we kind of saw throughout the day. The Chargers averaged just 4 yards on third down. When they got into third down, all they had was 4 yards to go. For reference, during the Chiefs win streak here, it's been 7 yards that the opposition has had to go. So you get to tee off in those scenarios. In 3rd and 4, DJ, you don't get to play the same way. You got to watch the run still. You got to watch all this extra stuff. It opens up the playbook. Am I right?
Yep, that is absolutely right. That's a hard down. That's a hard from 3rd and 4 is hard.
Yeah, and we got to see it a lot, and it's because of runs like this one here on an early down where you're just going to see this cutback lane develop, and it just becomes a little bit too easy for them to read. This happened multiple times throughout the day. You know, you got the running back coming across here. You've got it's almost like a split zone with Cook coming across the formation, and it's just a little too easy for these guys to get the gap and get into that backside gap. That cutback lane was unfortunately there a little bit too often this week.
Yeah, you know what? The safety coming down needs to feel a little bit quicker because right now he's down on that side because they have that tight end that's coming across. When he comes across, that's why Hitchens goes back. You know, Hitchens, if you go from the beginning, Hitchens has that gap right there, and now he falls back because of the 87 comes back.
Gotcha.
But the safety has to insert quicker. So I'm sure in film room, they're like, hey, if this guy comes across, you got to come down quicker. But this is a hard play because if it's play action, you want to tell that safety, you got to read it. You don't want to be all the way down out there. So I'm kind of double talking. We call this coach speak. Sometimes when we say stuff and, you know, coach is like, okay, that sounds good, but it's even, you know, easier said than done. But this is a great scheme. This it's not a new scheme, but it's one of these things where I would at least tell the defensive lineman, don't go sideways. Keep penetration going upfield. Do not go sideways. Then you get pushed by the play, and now it opens up a bigger hole.
Yeah. And what you're saying there is, as that linebacker, or as, you know, Cook, as the tight end's coming across there, because Hitchens' primary read then is pass. He's got to drop into coverage there. That's what you're referring to, and why he has to slow play that, and he's not able to do it. I think people see that too often and see linebackers being, quote unquote, hesitant at the second level, but they've got to stay home because, like you said, that's a play action pass, and he doesn't drop with Cook there. Now all of a sudden that's a massive play. So
right. And it's a, we call that a run pass conflict, you know, and you have to, and you have to know that when you line up though. So you know, I'm always big on when you line up, what's the worst thing that can happen to me? What can really be detrimental to my responsibility on this play? And as long as I know that, I'm never going to be surprised when something happened that kind of makes me get in a pickle.
Do you ever think of it from the perspective of trying to mitigate the absolute worst case scenario? Like, I'm willing to give that up, but I got to make sure that I stay on top of that. Like, is that going through your head?
Absolutely. I'm big on that. And over the years, Coach Gary Gibbs has always told me that when you line up, you can't. So if something's about to happen, you can't be surprised and say, "Oh man, you know, the formation tells you everything." So you have to go through some mental gymnastics early, just so you can play faster and not, you know, be spinning your wheels and stepping over here, stepping over there, and just going all over the place.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. All right. Now let's get back inside, you know, the 5-yard line here where the Chiefs really did their best work of the day. They came up with 3 stops on 3 drives inside the 5-yard line, hold 0 points. Chargers went for 4th down twice, and they came up with a turnover 3 times. That's massive. So let's go through some of the plays that occurred here near the goal line. We're going to see on this one, it's a run play and just an excellent job by Bennieman, playing fast, playing downhill, shooting behind. Jaron Reed here sees this gap open up and just instinctually comes down, fills it really fast here. That's just fantastic play coming off the ball here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what happens is two guys they get on that double team. They get on there too heavy and too strong, and that hole opens up for a second. And if you don't, if you blink, that hole will be closed. So you have to make up your mind and say, "Hey, I'm about to hit this thing right now," knowing that you got a scrape guy, defensive end on the outside. So you don't have to fall back with this guy. And I mean, this is perfect play. This is a play that I've made plenty of times. And Ben kind of looks like me back there. He's a little lighter than me, but
yeah, a little bit lighter. Still wearing that same number though, 5'6" back there. You knew a couple things about making stops on the goal line. I think everybody remembers that Raiders game where you came up with, what was it, 4 straight stops?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that, man. That was big time.
All right, here's another one. Chargers came out here very next play, or 2 plays later, came out in empty. It's actually a 4-by-1. It's a diamond formation to the right of the screen here, and you got an isolated receiver to the left of the screen, and it's just screaming quarterback run on this play, especially with the way that the Chiefs have aligned their defensive tackles. It's wide open here, and this is an awesome job by Nick Bolton and Dan Sorensen of first checking against the pass, making sure there's not a drag coming in the middle of the field, and then collapsing on this run immediately. This is a tendency thing. This is getting guys into this formation, knowing that there's this possibility, and both those guys almost simultaneously see Justin Herbert right as he's taken off, come up with a stop at the goal line.
Yeah, you know what, Craig? I honestly, I promise I'm not lying. But when this play was going on, I told my wife. She doesn't listen to me all the time, but I told her, I say, "Hey, it's about to be a quarterback sneak. Like for sure, it's a quarterback draw. It's just it's set up that way. And what they do, it's a 2-play thing. Like if they're not lined up well enough where you say, man, they can stop this pass, this quick pass screen type of look, then we're going to do the quarterback draw. And it looks, I would run the draw too, because you got 2-3 technique and you got a 2-5 techniques, a 6 technique on the outside. And I tell you what, man, if I'm sure Nick did this, but you need to, him and Sorensen are on the same page. Hey, let's not go anywhere, because we know this quarterback can run the ball, get downhill. And what I would do, I would tell the defensive lineman, if I can get it through to them quick, hey, don't rush upfield, guys. You're not going to get a sack on this. It's not happening. Get your hands up, take a couple steps, and look for the draw. And it's not a conventional rush for them. They don't like to hear that at times. Trust me, I've been through some arguments with Justin Houston and Tamba Ali. I'm like, hey, don't rush. Get your hands up, all right? And it worked out for the best. So this was great heads up play by the 2 inside guys.
Yeah. And great job by Melvin Ingram here. He does get upfield, 24 on the outside here, but cuts it back. He keeps his eyes in the backfield. Frank Clark's looping over too. So it does seem like they did know it was coming a little bit, but that's Dan Sorensen and Nick Bolton just having an awesome play here. Here's another one at the goal line. This is another great play by Nick Bolton. And what the Chargers are going to try and do here, they're going to run a slant with the receiver to the very bottom of the screen here. This tight end that's in the slot is actually going to try and run a bit of a pick play on Dan Sorensen, covering him. They're going to try and work underneath him, try and get the ball at the goal line, and try and test Nick Bolton's eyes in zone coverage here. And he passes, very clearly passes here, collapses quickly on this play, knocks it out. Dan Sorensen does a good job of fighting through this. But I want to highlight when they get back here, when we run the slow-mo of this version, you can actually see Nick Bolton, as he drops into coverage, check that backside real quick right there to make sure there's not another drag coming across here before moving his eyes back over, seeing Justin Herbert, getting ready to load that up, and then putting his shoulder through the ball to come up with this stop. It's just a great play. You're playing the hook there. Great play to collapse on the ball, force an incompletion.
Absolutely. I love this play. This is a technique that I love. We call this a flat foot read, where he doesn't take any steps back. He knows that he's already right at the goal line. So let's just stand right there. And the quarterback's going to tell you right now. The good thing about being in the red zone, the quarterback doesn't do a bunch of looking here, looking there, looking.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. It's about getting the ball out, coming fast. And he did a great job. You don't always have to get PBUs or get an interception to be effective in the passing game from the inside back position. This is, oh man, I can remember so many plays where certain things have happened and they'll still catch the ball, but you come and you hit them
Mhm.
before the first down or you draw that ball out. Man, this is great play, man. I'm telling you, man. Nick is a star. He
He
really
is, man.
is. He really
He
is.
he is he is ascending as his role grows. It is really fun to watch him. And this was a great week for that. We got another play with Nick Bolton right after this because it was the Nick Bolton game, obviously, but a great play on fourth down, reading out Jared Cook on this quick out route. Like this is designed to put Nick Bolton into conflict and really test his ability to break on that route, ID it quickly. And boy, he just passes the test on this one. There's not a whole lot more to it other than being in the right spot, reading it correctly from the dime, DJ. Over the past 2 weeks, he has become the dime linebacker. Now, all of a sudden, after Bennieman was that guy, just a great job keeping everybody on the same page, making a PBU here.
Well, you know what? Spags is smart. He's smart. He's putting his best players out there. He's a young guy that knows a lot. And man, another flat foot read. I mean, I'm
Yep.
telling you. And when you look at it, you say, man, this guy is kind of open, but he's kind of not. And that's how you want to look at it, for Nick to step out. And he knows exactly what he's doing. And he's just dropping a little bit. And as soon as he breaks, he's going for it. It's 4th and 1. So you know it's not going to be any kind of pump fake or any kind of,
Mm-hmm.
jab out and come back up the middle. So this is, man, a lot of these times this 4th and 1 scenarios come up. A lot of young guys are shaking in their boots and they're like, oh man, I don't want to mess up. Nick's like, no, no, no. Let me read my keys. He stops. I go. Let me get the hand up. Our ball.
Yep. Great play. Great play by him. And he had the safety help over the top too. And that definitely helps. You got Juan Thornhill kind of pedaling out here. So if that is a vertical route, you can carry that up and trail, but didn't need to. Felt the
Yeah,
break, did it.
absolutely. And one more thing, you got to always know where your help is.
Yeah.
You got to always know where your help is. If you don't know where your help is, then you don't know how to make a play. Because
Yeah.
it's certain times you can go make a play. You have the opportunity to make a play. Now, if he didn't have any help on the outside, or up the field, you may not jump it that fast. That's just how
Right.
it is. You may have to stay back a little bit and come top down, and that's okay. That's part of the defense.
Yeah. You be more reactionary when you're in that position versus, this one where you can see it a lot quicker and react to it a lot quicker. All right, here we go. We got 13 personnel here. Once again, you're seeing a lot of, heavy personnel out of the Chargers this week. The most heavy personnel that the Chiefs have seen all year long, even some of those run heavy teams. And once again, you've got Nick Bolton screaming off the edge as a backside defender here, IDing that pulling tight end coming across the formation and just shooting to make this play. But I also want to highlight that you've got both Charvarius Ward, you've got Tyrann Mathieu kicking into the box, muddying up the front side gaps here, not allowing the running back to hit that as hard as he normally would.
Well, you know what? When you got 13 personnel and 22 personnel like the Chargers did on Thursday night football against the Chiefs, I smell nothing but tackles. I know. Nick was licking his chops because for a linebacker, it's like, okay, y'all. Usually we look at all this spread offense stuff, this college kind of style stuff, and put people in space. But right now, it's working in a phone booth and no fair dodging type of game. This is what I like. And for him to come off the edge like this, it just showed you his versatility because, you got to read because you don't want it to be a bootleg either. So you got to make sure that you read it the right way. But he come off the edge and he gets flat. He goes up and then he gets flat. That's a deep defensive ends know how to do this. So, he's well beyond his years, man. I was looking at the game and I was like, I knew he had 20 tackles. I'm like, he's got 20 tackles for sure.
Yeah, he was everywhere. He was absolutely everywhere. So, yeah, just a great game by him there. Now we're going to go right here. This is the play that kind of changed everything late in the game. Chiefs are backed up. It's on the 1 yard line. Chargers are going to run here, and you're going to see Bennieman just come in and make an awesome stick. Reading Derrick Nottie, I believe, kind of knifes underneath, muddies everything up, and opens up this lane for Bennieman, and he's able to stick his nose in there, hold the guy up, force, Turk Wharton gets his hand on the ball there. This is just a phenomenal play when they needed it at the most, but a great read by Neiman to read that puller, step in, wrap up, and hold them up in the air here.
They call this a power O right here. It's just a regular power play, but it's in the goal line front. And they've been running this for years, so this is the play to beat. And Ben does a great job. This is coaching point that I would tell linebackers: hey, come inside out and don't overshoot it. Come inside out and stay behind the ball. He's the hit man. He's the guy that the guard is pulling on his side, so he has to come over a gap, and he comes downhill and he hits any gap that's open right now. You have no room for error when you're down here at the goal line, so you can't really think a lot. So he did a great job by saying, hey, let me get back, see my keys, and read, and whatever gap is open after I get over, go shoot it right now. This is perfect. It couldn't have did it better, honestly.
Yeah, and see, you got this fullback here. I mean, this is 23 personnel. We're talking heavy personnel here at the goal line. Chiefs are, they've got 5-6 defensive linemen down here. So this is where a linebacker goes to make plays, because you're going to have everything kind of blocked up front.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And the running back, I know what he's thinking. He's thinking, okay, it's only 1 yard to go. Let's not get wide. Let's not get off the B, C, D gap. No, let's go right downhill. And Ben had the same thing in mind.
It's just a great play. Chiefs offense turned the ball over 2 plays later once again, but this is the third time that the Chiefs lined up here, stopped the opposition, got the ball back. I mean, when you're that depleted, those are the types of things that you have to do. I mean, the Chiefs allowed, some movement between the 20s, but I mean, I remember Bob Sutton talking about that all the time. It's like, listen, it's fine if it's in between the 20s. We got to keep points off the board, whether you're holding them to field goals or, in this case, just keeping them out of the end zone altogether 3 times. Like, that's the important part about all of this. And that's exactly what the Chiefs defense did on Sunday.
Absolutely. It's about moments that create momentum, and Chiefs defense had that all throughout the day. And it's kind of deflating when you stop them on 4th down, or they have to kick a field goal. It's like, man, it's a missed opportunity. And now we get to have, our guy Pat to get back out there. That's not what you want.
No, it's not what you want at all, So great job of the Chiefs defense. Coming up here against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Chiefs went out here, are the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. Their defense is playing well. We'll hope that they get guys back, but we hope that we'll get our guy Mike back next week when we do this again, covering the Chiefs over the Steelers, hopefully here with a good defensive performance. DJ, thank you, my man, for joining me again today. This is a lot of fun. I love doing this every week, man.
Great. Appreciate it, man. Y'all take it easy.
Yep. All right. Thanks for joining us. Subscribe if you want more of this every single week.